My name is Elena Rivera. I'm 23 years old, and the day everything in my life fractured then rebuilt itself into something stronger was supposed to be the happiest day I had worked toward for years. Graduation day, a day I earned through late nights, quiet tears, and endless determination. But instead of applause, instead of pride, something else echoed across that auditorium. Something that sliced through the air and froze every pair of eyes on me. It wasn't the sound of joy. It was the voice of my own sister. I still remember the moment her chair scraped against the floor, loud enough to startle people in the rows around her. I was halfway across the stage, my hand inches from accepting my diploma, when she stood up like she was about to reveal the final twist of a movie dot, and then she yelled, clear enough for the microphone on stage to pick up her voice. She cheated. She cheated her way through her exams. She doesn't deserve that diploma. The entire auditorium gasped. Time didn't slow down, it stopped. Just froze. People turned from her to me. Some frowned. Some whispered. Some just stared like they had front row seats to a scandal they never expected on a sunny graduation morning. My hand shook. My heart twisted. My feet refused to move, and I could hear my own breathing. Loud, crushing, fast. My sister, my older sister, the person who used to braid my hair when we were kids, had just taken aim at everything I had spent years building. And she fired the shot in front of hundreds of people. But why? That was the first question. Then came the second, colder one. What was I going to do about it? People waited for my reaction. Some even leaned forward as if I was about to confess or break down. But instead, I walked. One step, then another. The sound of my shoes hitting the wooden stage echoed too loudly. I could feel every stare peeling into my skin. I walked up to the podium. And I stood still. The principal hesitated. His eyes flicked from me to my sister and back. Even he didn't know what to do. My mind replayed her voice over and over. She cheated. She doesn't deserve that diploma. For a moment, I wanted to collapse. To shout back. To demand her to stop humiliating me, but I didn't. I just stood there, quiet, because I knew something that the audience didn't. My sister hadn't done this out of some misunderstanding. She had done it on purpose, and she wasn't finished, not even close. I saw her smirk as she lowered herself back into her seat. A cold, satisfied curve on her lips. Like she had finally won something she'd been competing for in silence, and right then, something in me shifted. Something sharp and awake. If she wanted to fight, if she wanted to destroy me publicly, she had no idea what kind of storm she had just invited, because I wasn't going to let her walk away after that, and this was only the beginning. Asterisk, when I walked off that stage, I didn't smile for pictures. I didn't hug anyone. I didn't talk to my classmates. I just walked out through the side doors of the auditorium and into the sunlight that felt too bright for a day that had just been ruined. My mom came running after me, her heels clicking too fast. Elena. Wait, but my legs kept moving on their own. Heat stung my eyes, but I wasn't going to cry. Not yet. She grabbed my arm gently. Sweetheart, don't walk away. We need to talk. We will, I said quietly. But not here. Because people were already staring through the glass doors like I was some dramatic highlight of the ceremony. She sighed, squeezed my arm, and nodded. My father looked confused, angry. Embarrassed, like he didn't know where to direct his emotions. But the real storm was my sister. When she walked out, her smile was gone. She acted calm, composed, righteous even. Like she believed she had done something heroic. Elena, she said, crossing her arms. You should explain yourself now, before this gets out of hand. Before this gets out of hand. As if she wasn't the one who lit the fire in the first place. I stared at her. My voice was steady, too steady. Why did you do that? She blinked innocently. I told the truth. No, I said softly. You told a story you made up. She scoffed. Oh, please. You think people don't know? You think they didn't notice how you went from struggling to suddenly passing everything with high grades? Come on, Elena, nobody is that lucky. My mother stepped forward, her voice trembling. Maria, enough. You have no proof. And you humiliated your sister in front of the entire school. Maria shrugged. Sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. I clenched my jaw. Because I knew this wasn't about truth. This was about jealousy, but jealousy alone doesn't make someone stand up at graduation and humiliate their own sibling in front of hundreds of people. This was premeditated, but I stayed quiet because I needed time. Time to understand her angle. Time to see how far she'd go. And the next day, I realized she wasn't done, not even close, because an email went out to the university board. CC'd to professors. CC'd to the dean, a formal complaint alleging I had cheated my way through multiple courses. Guess who filed it? Maria Rivera. My own sister. She even attached screenshots of made-up conversations between me and some tutor. Screenshots she fabricated. I stared at the email, my hand shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. She was framing me. Deliberately, strategically, and people believed her. My advisor called. The dean requested a meeting. A graduation photo of me walking off stage with a frozen expression started circulating online. Comments piled up. Did she really cheat? Her own sister exposed her? Ouch. This is messy. Everything felt like it was collapsing, like I was being buried alive under rumors that spread faster than I could breathe. But here's the thing about being pushed into a corner. You either break or you sharpen, and I wasn't going to break. So that night, while the house was quiet and everyone was asleep, I pulled out my laptop. If my sister wanted a war, then I was going to give her one she could never ever recover from. But first, I needed to understand why she hated me enough to do this, and I was about to find out. The truth came out accidentally. Overheard through a wall so thin I could hear my sister's footsteps on the carpet. Maria was on the phone, whispering in the dark hallway. I didn't mean to listen at first, but her words stopped me cold. She's getting everything. The awards, the attention, the job offers. What about me? What do I get? Silence. Then, no, exposing her isn't enough. I need her out. She ruined everything for me, ruined everything for her. I pressed my back gently against the wall, listening as her voice wavered between anger and desperation. They said they don't have a position for me anymore. They filled it with someone younger. Someone with a more competitive profile. And guess who that someone is? My little sister. My breath caught. She'd applied for the same entry-level job at a company I got an offer from. A company that only had one spot. I didn't even know she'd applied. She never told me, but in her mind, I had taken something that belonged to her. That job was supposed to be mine. She hissed through clenched teeth. I deserve it. She didn't even want it at first. She only applied because her professor told her to. But she got it. She got everything. I closed my eyes. This wasn't jealousy. This wasn't rivalry. This was resentment that had been building for years. Quietly, secretly, until it exploded on stage. Maria wasn't trying to expose me. She was trying to destroy me because she thought life had given me something that should have been hers. When I walked back to my room, something inside me felt different. Hurt? Yes, but something else too. Clarity. I finally understood what she wanted. She wanted to be the golden child. She wanted to be the successful sister. She wanted the spotlight I never asked for, and she was willing to tear me down to stand where she believed she belonged. But if she wanted to fight, then I was going to give her one. Not impulsively, not emotionally, strategically, because revenge isn't loud. It isn't messy. It isn't dramatic at the surface. The best revenge is quiet. Careful, planned. And mine began the next morning. I met with the university board. Calm, prepared, because I had evidence she didn't know I had. Every assignment. I submitted every project. Every exam was backed up by digital timestamps, files sensed from my laptop, recordings of tutoring sessions I attended officially, and email threads with professors. I even had security logs showing I accessed study labs at times. No one else claimed. The board reviewed everything. Their expressions shifted from skepticism to confusion to embarrassment. By the end of the meeting, the dean cleared his throat. Miss Rivera, someone went to great lengths to fabricate these accusations. And we need to know who. I looked him straight in the eye. My sister. Silence filled the room. Deep, heavy, loaded. They exchanged glances with each other. Because now it wasn't about academic dishonesty. It was about defamation, fraud, tampering with academic records, serious consequences, and I had every intention of letting those Consequences fall where they belonged, but exposing her officially wasn't enough. Not for what she had done in front of hundreds of people. No. I needed her to feel the weight of what she tried to do. Not to ruin her life, but to teach her something she'd refused to learn her entire life. If you try to destroy someone out of spite, the destruction circles back. And when I executed my plan, she didn't just break, she shattered. The first part of my revenge was simple, truth, but truth revealed at the perfect moment can feel like a slap across the face. I waited 2 days. Long enough for her to think she had won. Long enough for her to act smug at the dinner table, talking about integrity and honesty, pretending her accusations were noble and justified. She didn't know the board had closed the investigation. She didn't know they cleared my name officially. She didn't know I had forwarded her fake screenshots to the university's tech forensics team. She also didn't know what came next. I sat at the table, quiet, eating slowly as she talked about how some people don't deserve success if they cheat. My father's jaw tightened. My mother looked sick, but I waited until she finished. Then, calmly, I placed a letter on the table. Her eyes flicked downward, then upward, confused. What's this? I leaned back in my chair. That, I said gently, is the official response from the university board. They concluded the investigation. I watched her throat tighten, and they found the accusations completely false. My father exhaled in relief. My mother's eyes filled with tears, but I wasn't done. Actually, I continued. They also concluded that someone deliberately fabricated evidence. Someone submitted manipulated screenshots. Someone impersonated me in emails. Maria's eyes widened just a fraction. Her fingers twitched. I let the silence stretch. They know it was you. She pushed back from the table slightly. You have no proof I did anything, but her voice cracked. That was her first mistake. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table. Remember that night you were on the phone whispering about how I took everything from you? Her face drained of color. Maria, I said softly, you made 2 mistakes. You tried to target me, and you forgot the walls in this house are thin. Her breathing hitched up. My father stared at her with disbelief. Maria, please tell me you didn't do this. She didn't answer. She couldn't, and I still wasn't done. I also contacted the company you applied to, I added calmly. I asked if they were still considering your application. Maria blinked, confused. They said no, I continued. Because someone sent them an anonymous email warning them you were emotionally unstable and prone to dishonesty. Her mouth opened in horror. That email, I said, came from your IP address. My mother gasped. My father stood up abruptly, chair scraping against the tile. Maria shook her head violently. No, I didn't do that. But she did, and I had the logs, headers, and timestamps to prove it. She had sabotaged me. And she had tried to sabotage my future. So I let her drown in her own lies. She stood up suddenly, panic flooding her expression. This is all wrong. This isn't Elena, please. You're twisting everything. No, I said softly. I'm just showing people who you really are. She ran to her room, slammed the door, and collapsed into a sob that echoed down the hallway. For the first time, she felt the consequences of her own choices, but my revenge wasn't about screaming at her. It wasn't about humiliating her in return. It was about accountability, and accountability wasn't over yet because the company she wanted so desperately to work for, they needed to know who she truly was, and they were about to find out in the most poetic way possible. 3 weeks later, the final part of my plan unfolded quiet, precise, and impossible for her to escape. The company offered me the job officially. The same company she had blamed me for taking away from her. My onboarding email arrived that morning. I opened it at the breakfast table. Maria was there, silent, tired, avoiding every glance thrown her way. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile at her. I just opened my laptop and clicked join meeting for the virtual orientation because I knew what was coming. Halfway through the introduction, the hiring manager paused and said, "We also want to welcome our newest applicants to today's session, those who applied this cycle." And there she was. Maria. Her camera was off, her mic muted, but her name flashed clearly on the participant list. She had reapplied. She wasn't giving up. She wanted this job desperately. She wanted this company desperately, and then the hiring manager said, before we move forward, we need to address a situation regarding one applicant. An internal review flagged falsified emails submitted during the previous hiring cycle. We traced the digital signatures, and unfortunately, the findings confirmed the applicant attempted to manipulate internal valuation. Silence, not the light kind, the heavy, suffocating one. Maria's name flickered. She unmuted. Sir, I think there's a mistake. No, the hiring manager said gently but firmly. There isn't. We do not tolerate manipulation of any kind. Your application is now permanently removed from consideration. We also recommend you refrain from applying to any of our partner companies. And just like that, her voice collapsed into a broken whisper. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I just wanted a chance. But the decision was final, and this wasn't my doing. Not directly. The company discovered her manipulation themselves during the follow-up investigation I had requested. All I did was shine a light. The truth did the rest. Maria left the room quietly, shoulders shaking, steps unsteady. For the first time, she understood. You can't build your future by tearing someone else's down. Not without the pieces falling on you instead. Later that night, she knocked on my door softly. When I opened it, she stood there, eyes red, pride gone, voice small. Elena? I'm sorry. The apology wasn't elegant. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't enough to erase what she'd done. But it was real. I was jealous, she whispered. And angry. I kept comparing myself to you. I kept thinking you got the things I deserved. I thought if I brought you down, I'd feel better. But I just ruined everything. I looked at her for a long moment, then I said something she didn't expect. You didn't ruin my life. Maria, you ruined your own. Her eyes filled again. But she nodded. But, I added gently, you can rebuild it. Just not by stepping on me or anyone else. She swallowed hard. I know. We stood there in silence for a long time. Forgiving someone doesn't mean forgetting what they did. It means choosing not to let their actions control you, and that's the lesson she learned. The one she needed. The one life taught her harshly, that success built on honesty lasts. Success built on sabotage collapses. As for me, I walked into my first day at work with my head held high. Not because I won something my sister lost, but because I kept my integrity. I protected what I earned. And I didn't let betrayal turn me into someone I wasn't. And if anyone ever asks me about that graduation day, the day my sister stood up and tried to destroy me, I tell them the truth, that sometimes the people who hurt you most aren't your enemies. They're the ones who can't stand to see you shine. But no matter who tries to dim your light, you have two choices. Let them or rise brighter. I chose to rise, and I always will.